friends, and welcome back to another video. So today we are going to be discussing some of my favorite romantasy books. Now, some of them are graphic, aka smutty, and some of them are actually like YA. To be honest, I think only one of them is YA. And that will be the first one that we talk about today, actually. So without further ado, let's begin. So the first one I want to talk to you guys about is Vampire Academy. Now, this is a book series. It's got 6 books in it. It's also got a spin-off series, and that's good too. But this is a YA, basically romantasy book. When these came out, there wasn't really a romantasy category. It lied in the YA fantasy category, but has a heavy plot of romance. So if you don't know, Vampire Academy is basically Vampire Academy is about 3 different types of vampires. It's got Strigoi, Dampier, and Moroi, I believe. So the Moroi are actual vampires, but they only feed slightly. I think they can eat regular food too. It's been a long time since I've read this book. Moroi can die. Strigoi, though, on the other hand, those are actual, like, can't go in the sun, have to only drink blood, immortal vampires. And they feed on the Moroi. Now, the Dampiers, they are the offspring of Moroi and Dampier. And they're basically a human, but with heightened vampiric abilities, so that way they can protect the Moroi. A lot of the Moroi are royal-ish. There's some that are not, but one of the main Moroi that we follow, she is the last of her line. And then the Dampier, Rosemary Hathaway, she is her best friend Liz's guardian, or training to be her guardian after they graduate from the Vampire Academy. And Rose is a Dampier. In this book, she meets Dimitri, who is an instructor at Vampire Academy, and they kind of hit it off a little bit. You know, he's older than her. I think if I remember correctly, it's like 7 years. But it is, it's not like too out of the question. I don't know. If it's love, it's love, okay? But I just remember reading this for the first time and absolutely falling in love with it. And I've read these over and over and over, and I'm telling you, it's book 3 that really gets me. And there's a part and there's a song that I always put on that part, and it just makes me cry. I'm telling ya, I just can't get enough of that. I need to really do a reread because these were like amazing for me to read. And I think I read all of these when I was in high school, and I even read them like some in college to reread or whatever. But they're so good. If you haven't picked them up yet, it's great. I think Rochelle Mead has done a phenomenal job with the vampire aspect of this story, to intertwine it, but then to make it kind of in its own world, even though it's in modern day. So if you haven't picked it up yet, please try it out. Let me know. So the next several books that we're going to talk about, these are all adult. They're classified as adult. Some of them are a little bit more raunchy than the other ones, but they've got really good plot. So first one that we want to talk about, and I actually started reading this earlier this year, I believe, and I have yet to read the fourth one, but it is A Touch of Darkness by Scarlett St. Clair. This is a Hades and Persephone retelling, and oh my gosh, is it raunchy, like majorly raunchy. And this is the Persephone side. I've heard that if you read the Hades perspective, which is a different set of books, it's even raunchier. And I don't know if I can do that. I'm just not sure yet. I don't know. I really have enjoyed reading from Persephone's perspective, and I like reading from the woman's perspective when it comes to romances, especially if it's a like first person type of perspective, which this is. It just gives it that yearning of, you know, you're reading from one narrator's perspective, and you're only seeing or listening to kind of like what she sees, you know, what she's trying to interpret, her feelings. You don't know exactly what's going on in the guy's head, you know, so that just makes the angst even more like delicious, basically. So this, for the most part, first couple books, because it's a 4-book series right now. I'm not sure if the 4th one that just came out is the last one, but it's not very plot heavy, at least in the first 2. It's very, very romance heavy. So if you are not willing to power through to get to the plot, then I would not recommend reading this. If you just want some romance in a fantasy kind of way, then I would definitely recommend this, because the first 2 are very romance heavy. The 3rd one, you start getting into plot. You're going to have, obviously, the romance in it, because this is a fantasy romance. And the romance is going to lead a heavy plot line. But the plot line gets more important as the story goes on. And that's what I appreciate about Scarlett St. Clair. She's realized, okay, I've pushed the romance plot point to pretty much its limits. I'm going to have it still in my story, but now I need to focus on the plot. I've already set up the romance. You know, this is what's going on with it. But now let's start diving into the plot a little bit more. And she does a really good job about this. When I read these, I'm literally hooked for the entire time. I can't put them down. That's why I'm surprised I haven't picked up the 4th one yet, but it is on my list to do soon. So the next book I want to talk about is The Serpent and the Wings of Night by Clarissa Broadbent. I apologize for my dog if you hear him barking in the background. This is so good. It is a duology, basically. Now, there is a 3rd book coming out, but it's going to have different main characters in it. But I'm not sure if that one is going to be a duology as well. I think I heard there's going to be 6 books in this world. I'm just not sure if the next book that's coming out later this year is going to be the 2nd round of duology, or if it's just going to be a standalone. That I'm not sure yet. But oh my gosh, this is the perfect combination between fantasy and romance. You've got heavy fantasy plotline and romance. Like, it's there. Now, The second one is a little bit bigger on the romance plotline side, but I really enjoyed reading a story that was plotline heavy first and then had the romance as a second plotline, and it just worked flawlessly. And oh my gosh, I'm telling you, Araya and Harain, love it. I love Araya. She is just spunky and hardworking, and oh my gosh, Rain, hunk, like all around dream guy. I mean, I'm married to my dream guy, but he's got a combination of like all my book boyfriends, so I can't complain. But if you haven't picked this up yet, I would definitely recommend it. It is one of my favorites to read. Definitely plan to reread this again soon. It's just masterful. The next one that we're going to talk about, and by far probably my favorite series, although the one we're going to talk about after this is way up there as well, is none other than A Court of Thorns and Roses, the whole series. Now, obviously, the second book in this is my favorite. My absolute favorite. This one is good. When I read it, I absolutely loved it. I was excited for it. I thought it was great. I was a little this is adult, but it's kind of like PG-13 on the romance end of it, which is fine. Not complaining about that. You can have adult romances that aren't graphic, you know? But when I got to book 2, all my dreams came true, everybody. I mean, Rysand, it's a toss-up between Rysand and Xaden from Iron Flame of favorite book boyfriend. You could take a poll. I don't know if I could vote. I love them both. But this one, I'm not even going to tell you the synopsis, because if you don't know the synopsis of ACOTAR, then you live under a rock. Now, you're in the fandom, you either absolutely love it or you hate it. And I'm the one that absolutely loves it. So, I mean, that's all I really need to say. This is probably one of my top 3 favorite books of all time, and everything, not just the fantasy romance category. But if you haven't picked it up yet, Sarah J. Maas is a genius. I cannot wait for the 6th one to come out. My next favorite one, Fourth Wing. Romance, dragons, fantasy world. It's got it all. You've got magic, you've got sassy dragons, you've got Shadow Daddy 2.0. What else do you want? I'm telling you, this and ACOTAR, top 2. Top 2, for sure. And Rysand and Xaden, I don't know which Shadow Daddy to pick from. I just don't. But I fell in love with this, not just because of the romance. The storytelling that Rebecca Yarros does is amazing. Yes, there might be a little bit more of or too much of, oh my God, he's hot. Oh my God, look at him, he's hot. But, like, I gotta think a little bit. This is first person. You're reading from an 18-year-old girl. I mean, Rebecca Yarros, this is her character. This is Violet. And Violet is a complex character. She's not all, shallow and, like, airheady. She's very smart. She's very observant. She learns quickly. But when you're attracted to somebody, I mean, I did it when I was 18. You look at somebody and you're like, oh my God, he's hot. Every time you see him, oh my God, he's hot. Oh my God, I'm getting a little warm because he's hot. Like, that's just an emotional reaction. So I'm not saying that Rebecca Yarros couldn't have done it in a different way, but, like, for me, it didn't bother me. I know that there's some people that, like, that really bothered them, and that's why they can't go on with the series or anything. They thought it was too cheesy. For me, I think it's an 18-year-old reaction, or however old they are, 20. I don't know how old they are, but it's a young person reaction. But oh my God, like, I think also what's made this book for me is Taryn and Andarna. Their back and forth, especially in Iron Flame, is just genius. And Taryn, I can't wait to get more of Taryn. And I do plan to do a reread of this at the end of this year, because the third book, Onyx Storm, will be coming out end of January. I'm so excited. So if you're excited for our Onyx Storm, please comment down below. We will just giddy together, okay? The next book that I would like to talk about is Kingdom of the Wicked by Carrie Mansicalo. So when I first read this book, I actually listened to it on audio, because at the time I was driving about an hour and a half to work each day. I was in sales and my territory was an hour and a half away, so I needed something to pass the time. So I decided, okay, well, I'm not really getting to read a whole lot. Let's try audiobooks while I'm in the car. So that's where I first read this, and I fell in love. First off, audiobook, amazing, absolutely amazing. And I listened to this one and the second one on audio, and the narrator, phenomenal. The additional theatrics to the audiobook were great, but I totally fell in love with these characters. So your main character in this, and it is in first person, is Amelia, and then Wrath. And so this is a combination of witchcraft, magic, and the princes of hell, really. And really what happens in this one is Amelia's sister, Victoria, she disappears or gets killed or something, and you learn pretty early about it. And so now Amelia is trying to figure out, like, who killed her sister, or took her sister, So that's basically what happens, and then she gets, like, attached magically to a demon, and she doesn't even really realize what's going on, so the demon's trying to help her, and it doesn't get spicy until the second one, But the first one lays very good groundwork, and the angst that's in it is great. Absolutely loved it. I really would love to go back and reread these, and I definitely plan to. I think at some point I'm just gonna have a year where I reread books, because I have so many I want to reread, and this series is one of them. She also just came out with a new one, Throne of the Fallen, and I think it's about another prince of hell and how he falls in love or something as well. And I think another book is coming out too. So I'm excited. I love this world. I want to get back into it. The last book I want to talk about today, and I am adding it onto this list, is just because of the world itself and the characters. The romance, I need more. And so I'm hoping that when the next book comes out, I think it's coming out this year. I literally just pre-ordered it. It will have more of the romance side that I want and am dying for. But the back and forth between these two main characters is great. Now, I don't have the angst that I want, and I think it's because it's dual POV between the two, the main female character and the main male character. So that might be where it is, but I've read other romantasy books that have dual POV, and I get my angst, I get what I want. So I'm hoping, I might have just not been in the right mindset maybe to read it, or I don't know, but I'm really hoping for the second one. But if not, the romance side aside, the world is phenomenal. And it's called the Hurricane Wars. The world building in it was perfect. There was just enough. It was not over the top. The magic in this is amazing. I love both of the main characters. So I'm super excited to get another round, or another book, I guess, of this. And I don't know how long the series is going to be, but I'm super excited for it. And this has kind of got a Philippine background to it. Because I believe I read something to where she was inspired by Philippine lore to write this. And so that's where this story came from. And I just think it's so unique, because you don't see stories with Filipino background a whole lot. And I really have enjoyed like reading this when I did, and to be more into this world, I cannot wait. And it's that book can't release soon enough. Well, friends, that is all I had for today. Those are some of my favorite fantasy romance books. Some are heavy romance, some are heavy fantasy, and some just have the right amount. So if you've read any of them, let me know. Let me know what you thought of them, if you liked them, if you didn't like them, if you're excited for the sequels, if there are sequels coming out to it. Let me know if you haven't read them yet, and if you're interested. I would love to discuss. So don't forget, like, subscribe, and be good people.
When you feel it's hopeless, when you think that you lost, oh, I will take your hand and we'll rise up from the dust. Oh,